information about pregnancy and childbirth because I want women to know how powerful they are. So today I'm going to be talking about hospital and home and birth centers and how you need to know what your hospital or birth center's policies and statistics are so that you're making better choices for your care. And this is important because we often don't really think about the people we're going to be encountering when we're in childbirth or in that situation where we're pregnant and something happens and we have to go to the hospital, right? We don't think about who we're going to encounter and what their thoughts and their way of responding to that is going to be. So many women are finding that hospitals are not so supportive of having doulas or having your team, birth team, especially right now with the COVID and how the nation has shut down a lot of things. Hospitals are making women birth on their own. And to me, that is a huge disservice unless they're going to give them the care that they deserve and that they should have, right? Like a woman in labor needs reassurance. Sometimes she needs somebody to tell her, yes, you can. Yeah, you've hit this wall, but you can do this. We can go through this. I'm right here with you, right? They need that reassurance. And when a woman is in labor, a lot of times the team that is around her are hospital care workers, right? They're doing their job, but their job also involves taking care of other people. So they're not able to give them that one-on-one. That is why doulas are becoming more and more popular, and women are seeking out support for their birth experience. Now, one thing you want to know is what is your hospital or your birthing center's policy on this? Are you able to have people in there? Has their policies changed since COVID? Is there something going on that would prevent your partner, your spouse, your partner, and your birth team to join you in your birth experience? Also, the other thing you want to think about is, do they support unmedicated birth? If that's what you want, you need to know that the team that you're working with is going to support that. Do they support having a birth plan? What do they not support in pregnancy and childbirth? Because you'd be surprised, but a lot of hospitals will tell you that they don't do VBACs or vaginal births after C-section, and that is completely wrong. They don't like to do them. They may tell you they don't do them. However, if you show up at the hospital and you're in labor and you do not consent to that C-section, there is very little that they can do to have you or to force you into that surgery, because it is a surgery and they have to have your consent. So if you don't consent to it, they can't give it to you. So that is one thing. You want to know your hospital or birthing center's stats. At a birthing center, you want to know what their transfer rate is. You want to know what their transfer to C-section rate is. You want to know what your hospital C-section rate is. And you also want to know what either of these places, what their mortality rate is. And I know that's a really scary thing to think about, but you need to know what that rate is, because that rate may be higher than what you're comfortable with. And unfortunately, it's not something that is shared a lot. You won't see it in mainstream media, but the United States has a pretty high mortality rate. It's scary. The other thing you're going to want to know, and I already mentioned this earlier, is the VBAC the vaginal birth after C-section, what is their success rate? Your hospital or your birthing center? Now, some birthing centers won't even take women who are trying for a VBAC, which is a huge disservice because a lot of women's C-sections were done unnecessarily. And all women deserve the right to have a baby the way they choose. And I myself have had 3 home birth after C-sections, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And this is why I share this, because when I had my C-section, it wasn't what I wanted. Looking back now, I believe that it could have been avoided. It was unnecessary. And I now know that my body is perfectly capable of birthing my babies, right? Because I've done it 3 times. So know what their success rate is, know whether they support them or not, and know that what their thoughts and feelings are around them. Because if you sense any hesitation when talking about a VBAC in your care team, that is a flag that you need to pay attention to. You don't want to have a team at the end that is uncertain of the process, uncertain of how they feel. And if they have any fear, that energy of fear will affect your labor and your welcoming your baby into this world. I hope you found this information eye-opening. I hope it got some things turning in your head that help you to look for information, to ask the questions, and to play a leading role in your care and in your experience as you go into your next phase and welcoming your baby into your family. If you're watching in my group, thank you so much for being a part of my group. This week, we have an amazing interview with a woman, a mom of 4 who had 3 C-sections and then had a VBAC. You don't want to miss it. If you're not in my group yet, no worries. Just ask to be added to the group, answer the questions, and I will get you in there. If that is something that interests you or you like what I'm sharing, we would love to have you. You can find us at Open-Minded and Empowered Birthing Mamas. I hope to see you there. Bye.